is a sequel whose future has kind of been a bit of a question mark at this point. I am, of course, talking about Black Panther 2. And while the world still mourns the tragic loss of Chadwick Boseman, Marvel Studios is looking to the future for one of its most inspiring, profitable, and energizing franchises, Black Panther. Last week, the Hollywood reported that Black Panther 2 is heading into production in July 2021. The shoot, which will take place in Atlanta, could last upwards of 6 months and will reportedly see Letitia Wright, Lupita Nyong'o, Winston Duke, and Angela Bassett all returning, and Wright's character, Shuri, is going to reportedly be taking on a much more prominent role. Now, there are no public plans on how they plan to continue without Chadwick Boseman. Marvel execs have already said they won't be using CGI or something like that to add the departed actor to the sequel. And the report also indicates that Narcos Mexico star Tenoch Huerta is joining the cast of the Ryan Coogler-directed film, reportedly in an antagonist role. So my question, let's start with this, is obviously with Letitia Wright, in the comics, Shuri is someone who becomes Black Panther, takes on the mantle of Black Panther. Do we think that she's going to take on the mantle in T'Challa's absence? What do you want to see from this sequel? Markia, let's start with you.
There's I will keep this short and nerdy. Very short. Very short. This could have been the entire show. I will just say that. I very much feel like Letitia Wright will take on the role of Black Panther, and then like it does in the comics. As far as for the sequel, I have been saying for a number of years for like Black Panther 2 to have a Namor the Submariner, to have the storyline in there where like Namor confronts not only Black Panther, but all of Wakanda. They've even kind of planted the seeds for this in Infinity War, where there's like, there's earthquakes that are happening. And this was between Okoye and Black Widow, where it's like, these earthquakes are happening. We're trying to figure out what's going on, kind of a thing. One of the way that Namor attacks Wakanda is he floods it, which is pretty smart. And I yes, I would love to see Namor, but I also always saw him as a Daniel Day Kim kind of type. Nothing against this actor though. With it, having Namor for the sequel's antagonist would be very, very satisfying, albeit low-hanging fruit for it. And I would also worry that they might end up killing Namor, because they kind of did that in the original Black Panther with both Claw and Killmonger, who are excellent Black Panther villains. And I just could not believe. So for the sequel, I think something that they could have Horta play is the character, this is a bit obscure, Wind Eagle. If you kind of fudge Wind Eagle's origins just a bit, you can have him, and Wind Eagle is he's got an anti-gravity suit and like knockout gas and that kind of a thing, and that can fit into an Iron Man world, and so what I would want them to do is to have like Wind Eagle be part of the Hattusarazi, which is think Wakandan secret police type of a deal. Within Wakanda, sure, but they actually have it as like assassins and spies out into the world to figure out what's going on. So if you have him as Wind Eagle doing that, where he's got like his lips up to Nakia's ear, you could also bring in, with the character Wind Eagle, you could bring in the Dragon Circle, which the Dragon Circle, picture like a political cult that's all about political power and brainwashing. Like in the comics, they've kidnapped Black Panther, brainwashed him before, but it's like you would get something that Black Panther did well in the first film was like descent within the ranks. So if you have Wind Eagle in a prominent place in like the Hattusarazi, whispering into Nakia's ear, who in the comics even becomes Malice, maybe with that possible brainwashing aspect with Dragon Circle, and all this time you have Wind Eagle being like, this child will lead us, this is where we've fallen. And sure, you could have like Namor as a big bad, but I also just want to have this political conflict of everything happening, and then have Shuri like step up to the plate, where she's like, being Black Panther is more than muscles. Being Black Panther is standing for my people in every which way that I can. and her bringing that technology aspect. And, you know, I don't know what she's been doing in quarantine. Maybe Letitia Wright's been like, you know,
just getting straight up jacked.
you
Yeah,
know,
no, I think those are great points as well, because,
yeah.
you know, like Shuri is a very different Black Panther than T'Challa. It is sometimes it's more about like using your wits and agility versus just raw punching power in certain cases. And I think that would force her to outsmart her opponents in unique ways. And something else that I've seen that I found very interesting. I love the Wind Eagle pull, by the way. It's such a lovely deep cut there. I think, and the type of thing that Marvel loves to do. Something else I've seen for rumors for Tenoch Huerta is that he could be playing a version of White Tiger, but perhaps a combination of Hector Ayala, the original White Tiger, and Casper Cole, this sort of anti-hero-esque guy who took on the Black Panther identity as White Tiger when he got a synthetic version of the heart-shaped herb from Eric Killmonger. So maybe they could have this sort of be a thing where, you know, power abhors a vacuum. T'Challa is missing. They need a leader, someone to take on this role. And you have this person emerging because they seemingly have the powers of the heart-shaped herb from whatever synthetic version they were able to manufacture. Because as we saw in the original, they burned most of it, but maybe they saved samples so they can manufacture it on the black market. But who knows? I do think that there are a lot of possibilities for this sequel. But Henry, what would you like to see from a Black Panther sequel?
You know, it feels so soon. You know, as much as I love the series, Chadwick Boseman was a person, you know, and he did have a legacy and a family. So I want to see a lot of respect. And I know Ryan Coogler and the cast and everyone working on this film has a really big, you know, project ahead of themselves. Shuri was, I think, is going to be the most logical Black Panther, and she's done it in the comics and Claws of the Panther series. And I think that's going to be really exciting to see because she was such a lovable character and so powerful in her own right. And I'm just really what I loved about Black Panther is that it, like Marquia said, a lot of characters died, but it's its own thing. So I can't wait to see it depart from itself in such a different way and from maybe the comics, and seeing something completely different and having an experience that was just as magical and seismic, shifting from everything that we've seen in superhero comics to what we've seen in the films.
Well, I think you bring up some good points there, and I imagine that Chadwick Boseman and his legacy are first and foremost in the mind, not just of fans, but especially of everyone involved in making this movie. Like, they want to make sure they're honoring him, and especially the impact that this role had on so many people all around the world. You just watch that video of when he surprised fans who were talking to the poster about what the character and everything meant to them. That was just such one of the. Sometimes those videos feel a little hokey or contrived, but that just felt so raw and delightful that I found myself just rewatching that over and over in the days that followed his passing. But I also was on Twitter, as I'm wont to do, and I found something from @Dr. Jason Johnson, which I found curious and just resonated because clearly it struck a nerve with people. He said, "This is fine." And it was in response to the news about them proceeding with Black Panther 2. "This is fine, but T'Challa should be recast. I've seen 7 white guys play Batman and 5 white guys play Superman in my life. Heath Ledger passed after getting an Oscar for Joker, and the character's been played by 2 actors since. Black Panther deserves to live on as well." And yes, there were plenty of people in the comments stipulating that, yes, these were alternate timelines and different continuities and things like that. And other people in the comments saying that, well, Marvel's recast, they've recast James Rhodes, and they've recast as well the Hulk. But I do think that those are slightly different situations than a headlining character like T'Challa and Black Panther. But I'm curious, what do you think about Johnson's statements? Do you think that T'Challa should eventually be recast, or do we just proceed as is?
I mean, I think the best thing about comics and the opportunity that they provide us is that we don't always have to just use the same characters over and over again. Like, characters can evolve. Ms. Marvel can become Captain Marvel, and we can have a new kind of Ms. Marvel. You know, we can have Captain America go from being Steve Rogers to being Sam Wilson without having to say, like, okay, but this is the same Captain America. Like, we can have different people take on these really like these great mantles. And on the one hand, I understand why T'Challa is so meaningful to people. I do feel to Henry's point that the most respectful thing for the team to do at this point would be to do like they do in the comics and pass the mantle to Shuri as opposed to recasting, because Chadwick was so iconic in that role, and it does feel really soon to put a new actor in T'Challa's shoes. So personally, I don't know. I think that the great benefit of comics is the ability for them, the characters, to like pass that title along to different people. Yeah, so I kind of think they should do that. I also think that another interesting role for Huerta that I've seen passed around is Doctor Doom.
Yes.
Who's like a big Black Panther villain. I think that would be kind of cool. I think it would be neat to maybe move Latveria into like South America and have that kind of like political intrigue be part of it. Could be very interesting. I love the White Tiger idea, although yeah, they would have to do more to make him like an antagonist. But I think Namor is both the most obvious and the most exciting to me in a way. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I hope it's Shuri. I think it would be hard to see someone else's T'Challa right now.
I think Marquia should get hired by Marvel. I mean, that whole like Patton Oswalt community, like that. I mean, Parks and
Or the
Rec
Parks and
speech
Rec,
you just gave
yeah.
was clutch.
Yeah.
Thanks. I felt like I was just talking out my ears, so I'm glad that made some sense.
Yeah, I will say as well.
Tweeting out my ideas.
Just tweet them into a document and just send it directly to Kevin Feige. No, but I will say I like the Namor idea less now because I just want Daniel Day Kim as Namor now that you put that image in my brain, Marquia. I can't unsee this hypothetical. More Daniel Day Kim all the time, always, please and thank you.
Yeah, I mean he's been campaigning for that almost as long as Ryan Reynolds was campaigning for Deadpool.
Yes, seriously. Justice for Daniel Day Kim. He deserves more than the 2019 Hellboy movie. I want to see him in a better comic book adaptation. No offense to everyone involved in that movie. They were all very lovely people, but come on, give us Daniel Day Kim with the winged feet and mighty chainmail Speedo that we all deserve.